Now, the floods recorded in the coastal areas of Nigeria, like Lagos, some weeks ago, is nothing compared to what residents will experience in September and October. This warning is from the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency. The agency says the peak of the rainy season in Lagos often occurs in September, adding that residents of the state should brace for severe floods by taking all necessary measures now to mitigate the devastating impact. In addition to the rains, the NIHSA says no new holding dam has been constructed across the River Niger in Nigeria to mitigate the impact of flood arising from the possible opening of the Latgo Dam in Cameroon. Well, joining me now is Environmentalist Femi Oguntuase. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Thank you very much.
I mean, year in, year out, every time of the year, we have this conversation about flooding. And, you know, it's becoming a recurring event, although some say flooding is man-made. That's what some persons have said. But before we get to that aspect, now we are expecting something worse than we experienced, as it is being said. We saw what happened 2 weeks ago in Lagos, where some cars were submerged, and now we are being told that in September and October, what we'll experience is going to be much worse. What concerns do you have?
Thank you very much. Flooding or floods generally is as a result of global warming, and I want to say that it's a baby that we need to keep on managing, at the preventive level.
Right. Government
has their own part to play. Citizens too, they have their own part to play. Government have to map out, there's something called mapping or proper planning of the entire Nigeria landscape. There are areas that are prone to flooding, there are areas not prone to flooding. So areas that are prone to flooding, you see communities, people living, inhabiting that area. Government is supposed to do something in evacuating or relocating the people to a safe place, because those are lowlands.
At this time? Before the floods begin?
Before. That's as a proactive. Government must be proactive in doing something like this. It's a concerted effort on the part of government. If government has a willpower, like the way they are doing this, the way government is responding to COVID-19 now, federal, state, collaborating efforts, and then you see Lagos State governor on a regular basis addressing Lagosians on what they have been doing, isolation centers, this opening up of this lab. So government has a lot to do. There are areas where people are not supposed to habitate because of lowland, especially areas close to coastal lands like Lagos, areas like Benue, North Central State, that traverses River Niger, River Benue, passes through. Those are lowlands. Anytime there is flood, that area will be flooded, and then overflow is bound to hinterland. Then the fate is what we are seeing. Now, what we have been seeing, as you said, is a recurrence event in Nigeria. Government always do what I call post-flood disaster. Anytime incidents happen like this, government will come, they will send NEMA relief materials and then relocate people to the special IDPs.
Yes.
To prevent reoccurrence, government spending money upon money upon money. Why not evacuate people to a safe place, to a area that is higher than lowlands, where people can habitate and do their businesses, erect their structures, farming activities can take place. Every year, people lost their properties, running into millions. In
fact, we saw what happened in 2012.
2012, about 5 states. Yes. That was the worst so far in Nigeria, in the history of this country. And it will still continue. That's why I say it's a baby, because of one of the effects of global warming. Global warming.
And that brings me to the next question of if we are actually learning lessons. I mean, a lot of persons feel that with what we saw in 2012, we are still talking about not yet having a dam that can collect these waters. Since at the time, a holding dam as it is. I mean, what does it take to be the dam? So are we really learning lessons?
We are not learning. We are not learning. We just continue to go around in a circle, So that's why I said, if the willpower is there, like the way government is...
When we talk about willpower, what is it exactly?
Enforcement, like the one I just cite, there are ministry in charge of town planners.
Yeah,
enforcement is weak.
Yeah.
So people capitalize on weak enforcement. You know, people in Nigeria, anything goes. People erect structures anyhow, even on drainage. People erect structures. So if enforcement is high, and people realize that, okay, now when you see high tension wire, this PHC high tension, underneath you will see there's a
water cabins?
No, there is a signpost telling you not to erect any structures. Have you ever seen any signpost from Ministry of Environment or agencies of government saying this area people should not erect structures? People should not put any structures because it's a risk-prone area. Have you ever seen that?
No.
I've never. So enforcement is weak, and people are capitalizing on that. People spend their hard-earned money, their retirement benefit to put on their structures, and when floods come, the whole place will be submerged. So people are not supposed to build very close to. And what government is supposed to do, if they cannot erect holding like dam to contain this, they should erect like what is happening in Lagos Island, embankment, wall, higher than the level of water. That anytime there is flood, the water will not be able to flow into the environment. Lagos, I think the one in Lagos is between federal and Lagos state. If they can do that to all coastal environment, I think one country, I think Holland, did something like that. Holland is situated on a low terrain. Anytime there is flood, there is a special, I think, should I call it, I don't know the name to call it, but anytime there is flood, there's a good drainage system. There's a system that pumps water from towards the coastal back to the ocean. Yes. So it's a willpower, deliberate effort on the part of government. But there's no deliberate effort. We just talk. We'll give out policies.
You talked about efforts being made by Lagos State, and according to reports, there are about the Lagos State government is coming up with 221 collector drains, as it is being reported, 32 primary channels measuring 72 kilometers across all local government areas of the state. And I'm wondering for you, how much of a game changer this will be for the environment, knowing how it is oftentimes when we hear there are floods and when we see it happen.
I've never heard, I'm just hearing that for the very first time. If Lagos government is coming up with that, that is a right step in the right direction. That means they still have to do more than to cover the entire Lagos state. I think it's a right step in the right direction. Then people have to be, awareness about that needs to be high in Lagos state for people to know.
Okay.
Or this government. Drains. Yes.
Why is it necessary? Because talk to us what this collector drains, what it looks like and what it can do.
That collector drain is to contain water, right? Okay. I thought in the area of the waste management. No. Okay. That one is, I think that is better. It's a right step in the right direction coming from Lagos State government. That means Lagos State is being proactive. If the other states can do like that, I think that one will be better.
Now, you mentioned at the beginning of your statement when I asked the first question is you talked about the role of government and the role of the people.
Yeah.
Now let's look at the people, how they can help government help them.
Yes.
With addressing this issue of flooding, because there are talks about the attitude of people towards certain things put in place by government that encourage flooding at times like this. Talk to us what the people should do to perhaps check flooding in the state. Thank
you very much. You said it. Attitude not change. People too, they have to change the way they discharge refuse. Refuse in particular. People just discharge refuse anywhere in the drains, gutter, and the rest. And when it rains, those drains are blocked. Then you have runoff leading to floods. And so government is trying. We have PSP. People are to patronize PSP. How much is per building? I don't think, maybe less, 2,000, 3,000 per building. So people should patronize PSP collectors. And then government should do this. Awareness must be high. Okay, your waste that you are giving out to PSP, segregate it. One for paper, one for bottle, plastics. So that, yes.
Really?
Yes. segregation from household, from the source, will also prevent all this. They can monetize it. They can sell it to people that will buy it and then use as secondary raw materials.
Okay, recycling.
Recycling, thank you very much. So if people know that they can make money from their waste, it will encourage them to practice safe, proper waste management practices. So people have to change their attitude. Look at our marketplaces, shops. People just red shops, all their businesses, anything, they just dump the refuse on the drains. So this impacts the environment negative. So people have to change their attitude. Then people too, awareness has to be high too. This is an era of information technology. People need to know what is going on in the environment. We have phones, they know what is, they need to understand the issue of flooding, global warming, climate change. As the whole world is changing, government need to change their ways, people too need to change their ways. We can't just sit down and fold our hands and then say government will do everything. Government, no, there are things government can do and there are things we too can do. So we are the architect of change, the people. So awareness on the part of government through their Ministry of Information must be high. Jingles and the rest, you've been doing it. So government needs to do more. They need to do more on that area. And then proper sanitation practices, sweeping, cleaning our environment at intervals. There was a time once in a month that there were Lagos chants marks Saturday or so, the last Saturday of every month for years. Yes. So it's not until government marks certain days. This should be habitual from on our part. On a daily basis, we clean our environment.
Now, let's look at the implication or the impact of flooding. Health impact. And even we've been talking about food, the impact, because if you look at the papers this morning, it is reported that in Bauchi, the flood, the Delta has risen to 1,600 houses, 5,000 farmlands destroyed.
That's full scarcity. Full scarcity. So that is the reason why it's a two-way thing, government, people. If I have money and I want to erect a building or to do business, I'll make sure that those areas is not liable to flooding if I want to put in my business, my investment in that area. So people need to, or Ministry of Agriculture, they need to do something in that regard, in that area. Now it has destroyed farmlands. That's food scarcity, poverty. People will not be, no access to food, no access, people will not realize money from their investment. So this flooding affects people and affects nation. If there's poverty, then government has to start looking for money maybe to import food to mitigate the effect of shortage of food. So it's affecting government. It's a chain of events. If you fail to do your part, this is the consequence. So government has to do its own part, people have to do their own part too. So that's why I said awareness must be high on the part of the people.
What are the health implications?
You know, when there is it says death, people that died, then the environment will be polluted. Obnoxious gases will be coming out from death of not only human beings, animals, and people inhaling it, they will be affected. Yes, they will be affected. Then when there is flood, it brings in debris, terrible raw materials into the neighborhood. And if people habitate that area, they're bound to be contamination of diseases. They can't bound to contact diseases. So the application is also high. Then it also requires government on their part to now start carrying out immunization, giving out drugs to mitigate the effect of that terrible
At the end of the day, we'll be spending more.
Government will be spending more than putting in place good environmental practices. So it's not better to put in place sound environmental practices among the people and the government. An institution of government doing the right thing, I mean enforcement, ensuring that proper things are done
at the right time. Now, that brings me to this question. You are an environmentalist, and I'm wondering how you have been trying to perhaps create awareness with regards to this, perhaps engage government. How are you helping out in this regard?
Shall I, if I say, I operate a private establishment.
Right. I
do business with corporate organizations generally, and I conduct trainings too. So the training I'm doing, I'm not doing it free. If I'm doing it free, then that means I'm at least trying to do something. I've not got it to that level. How are you getting me? There was a time when I just finished school newly, that I tried to submit proposal on environmental education and awareness in secondary school to Lagos State government. Then that was 2004, 2005. I was invited for an interview, then Commissioner of Environment, Tuji Bello, through PAMSEC and Baba. So they interviewed me, and then that was the end. I tried to do something on my own part, but that was the end. I tried for about a year or two, going, coming, to push stuff, wasting money. There are times when there's no money, I had to trek. So when I gave up, and luckily I got a job.
Now that brings to mind, because you mentioned something, environmental education in school.
In secondary school.
That will, how far would that go in changing the mindset of a lot of persons and creating the necessary awareness? Because beginning from that age, as early as it is very important.
You see, if you want to change any system, you start from educating the mind of the people. Telling them the negative effect of this, the beneficial effect, what you're bound to gain, what government will bound to gain at the end of the day. You need to change the mindset of these secondary school boys. Then I developed the curriculum, SS1, SS2, SS3. And there was nothing like that in WAEC or so. So I believe that if you can get them the attention right from secondary school, even it should be primary school.
Absolutely.
So right from primary school, they will have become, it will have become habit. Things that you do on a daily basis at home, and then in the school, you also meet the same thing. It will have formed an habit. And then you'll have grown, and then it will inform your way of life. Then, with the way you do things, it will show. So, that is one of the ways whereby you can create a change in our environment, imparting the lives of people through education, through training, through awareness.
As it is, obviously, we need to begin to look into our curriculum.
Yes.
If we really want to address this issue of mindset change towards the environment, so to speak, because the issue of global warming is still very much with us.
Yes.
As the world, not just Nigeria, but it's still very much with us. But then let's have your final thought on this matter of flooding.
I will say on the part of people, that people should cultivate sound environmental practices. They can plant trees in their various homes. Trees also serve as a breaks, erosion breaks, anytime there is flood, to hold down a little bit some sand. They can plant, I call it afforestation. So government can give out tree seedlings for people to plant in their various homes, in their environment. And then government ensure that those seedlings are well nurtured. And then enforcement on the part of government should be high, so that people will not capitalize on the loopholes of government. Everybody does that. Capitalize on the weakness of government to perpetrate their evil.
All right. Thank you so much, Femi Oguntuase, for your time on the program. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.